I did want to canvas sort of one question, which I think you're really good on, because you've reported in Quebec, you know the scene so well, and that is, what do you think? What kind of factor is the Bloc going to be? What I remember as the Bloc when I first got elected is that they were really progressive, and on a lot of issues, the NDP and the Bloc, like fighting back to work legislation, on social questions, on foreign affairs, for example. There was more commonality between the Bloc and the NDP than any other party. I think the Bloc has changed a lot. It's become a lot more conservative. They're so focused now on these very divisive questions of identity and religious symbols. So I'm not feeling so positive about the role that the Bloc is going to play. Just wondering if you have any thoughts on that too.
I tend to agree with you that I think the program of the Bloc and the leader of the Bloc, Yves-François Blanchet, he wasn't a Quebec environment minister. He said in Quebec that the environment was to be his key concern, but and certainly on some social, on some foreign policy issues, they're going to be pro-peace and against, as Quebec historically has been, against military entanglements. But the Bloc as a group, I mean, if you go back to the Bloc that you know before the Orange Wave, there were a lot of urban members of the Bloc. They had a lot of members in Montreal, an area. They didn't get very many. So their membership, their voters, actually, unusual for a nationalist, a separatist party or quasi-separatist party, skew older and more rural and more small town. And they're mostly motivated by the fact that the Bloc is going to be an ally of the small c conservative nationalist party, the Coalition Avenir Québec, that's in power in Quebec City now. So that is going to be a bit, the only reassuring aspect is those issues that relate to their preoccupation aren't necessarily going to come up in Parliament. I mean, I don't think, where are we going to have an opportunity to discuss Quebec Law 21 in Parliament? It really is not part of the parliamentary agenda. It's not going to, and unless the Bloc wants to introduce an opposition motion saying,
which they could do, they could easily do.
We will not interfere. Somebody suggested to me, an interviewer in Halifax, says, what if the Bloc tries to corner Trudeau and say, we'll get a parliamentary motion saying we're going to offer a deferred prosecution agreement to SNC-Lavalin? What will happen then? I said, the Trudeau government will simply say, this is a decision, this is outside of politics. The Attorney General will make the choice, and we'll pressure the Attorney General behind closed doors where nobody can see, and we'll turn off the microphones when it happens next time, and we won't make sure this is on
well,
but we're not going to have Parliament vote on this. It's not up to Parliament to decide how a criminal prosecution operates. So, but they could be mischievous, but the fact of the matter is the Bloc really doesn't want an election, fortunately. So
yeah, well, I think it's going to really lead to some very interesting debate in the next year, 2 years, however long this minority parliament lasts. I hope that today we've been able to open up some discussion, and we're just about running out of time now, Karl. So I want to thank you, Karl, for joining in this conversation. It's always so great to talk to you, because first of all, you have this fantastic memory of what's happened historically, and your ability to kind of bring it forward to the present and make it relevant is really very cool. And I do want to thank everyone for joining us on this webinar today. Rabble does want to continue having these types of conversations with contributors and readers. So for those folks who are listening in, thank you for your comments and your questions. And if you haven't yet, please feel free to tell your friends about Rabble and how they can contribute online at patreon.com/rabble. And if you'd like to see more of this kind of discussion take place, please let us know. If you have topics or guests or ideas of things that you'd like to come forward, and just like to say thank you, Karl, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you. Next time I'll play the piano.
Cool.
Thank you very much, all of you.